or it tells you that economic growth is modest. All right. The yield curve currently has a positive slope. What does this mean about rates on short and long-term bonds, about Federal Reserve policy, and about the economy? So let's draw a yield curve. Very important concept, the yield curve. So the yield curve is a graph. It is a curve. Let's get one up here on the board for you to see. All right, the yield curve. You know what a graph looks like, and so this is the x-axis, and we have years until maturity, when bonds mature. So this would be, say, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. The farther out we go, the longer until a bond matures, and this is interest rates. And let's say this is 2%, 4%, and 6%. So a positive yield curve looks like this. Rates on short-term bonds, 1-year bonds, are lower than rates on 30-year bonds. That is a normal or a positive yield curve. And what does that tell us about the economy? It tells us that there is positive economic growth, positive GDP, economic growth. It tells us the Federal Reserve, the Fed, has easy money, easy or accommodative monetary policy. The Fed is keeping rates low. Okay? And then 3, there is some inflation. That's what a positive yield curve is telling us. What is an inverted yield curve? An inverted yield curve looks like this. Rates on short securities are higher than rates on longer-term securities. And what does that tell us? It tells us the Fed is selling bonds to lower the money supply, to raise short-term rates, to fight, to slow the economy, to slow GDP, to fight inflation. That's what it tells us. An inverted yield curve happens because the Federal Reserve raises short-term rates in order to slow the economy. Investors anticipate the economy will slow, the demand for money will go down, and inflation will fall. So, what this means is a recession is likely. When we see an inverted yield curve, that means there is a high probability that we'll have a recession. What's going on right now? Right now we do have a bit of an inverted yield curve. And so people are very concerned that we might go into a recession. Let me check this, make sure, yeah, it looks like everything's going well. All right, so that's an inverted yield curve versus a positive or normal yield curve. Know what it looks like and know what the implications are of a positive yield curve and an inverted yield curve. Because you'll see that on the exam, and because it's important for you to understand how our system works. Okay, we're done with homeworks 4 and 5. We're finished with Chapter 7, and we'll move on to Chapter 8 next week. All right, peace out.